I gotta sample that. Good morning, my name is Ryan Hall. Today we're gonna be talking about how I made Party Girl. So to start things off really simple, I basically just have this acoustic guitar loop going through the entire song. And it sounds pretty cool. It was just a riff I came up with a while ago, and I didn't know what to put it to until I started writing out this song. And really, funny enough, Party Girl only took like 2 days to write and produce, contrary to a lot of other songs on the EP. At some points, especially in the choruses and in the intro, there's just this other acoustic guitar that goes on top. And it's distorted, so it just adds a nice texture on top of everything. Other than that, in the verses, we have this guitar, which is basically just an electric guitar that I plugged in direct. And I have one on the right and left, which is what I do with pretty much all my guitars, unless I'm feeling like snazzy. That's pretty much all the guitars in the song. Let's go over the beat real quick. So this is the main beat that you hear throughout the entire song. So that's cool. Number one, we have this kick. And so on top of the kicks, we have this snare. Well, actually, it's 3 snares. And on top of all of that, we have this hi-hat. Super cool. Just as a final addition to it, there's these perks and there's an open hat. Now later in the song, we get the 808s in the beat. And just a couple tiny things to do with the beat. Calm down, sounds cool. And lastly, I think we have these toms. I want to go over the intro real quick because I feel like that has the most defining parts musically, or layer-wise, because there's a lot of layers in the intro. Number one, we have this giant flute synth in the back. And I just got that by looking through Alchemy and finding some cool like flute synth. But I just put a ton of overdrive on it and a compressor. On top of that, also in the second half of the intro, there's also this British overdrive, which is basically just like a fake guitar amp through Alchemy. Other than that, I think a cool layer in the intro is this like little floaty, wavy sound I have in the back that I recorded, that I put way too much processing on, but we're not going to talk about that. Last thing, instrumental wise, I want to talk about, I think, is the outro, which is pretty sick. It's basically just the regular beat, but I made it so that it's like super cool. Number one, it's slowed down, and number two, I have a little extra like spice in there. I have some more hi-hats that I added. And I have this little triplet kick thing that I added too. And there's a lot of cool things that you can do with an outro like this, where it slows down and there's a lot more freedom rhythmically. Like, for example, if I had added those triplets in the regular section of the song where the tempo was like, it would sound really. Like, can you imagine in retrospect, that sounds okay, like by itself, but with the rest of the song, adding that triplet kick right there wouldn't be cool, which is why it's cool to have it in this outro section where there's so much more freedom rhythmically and musically as well. So under all of that, in the outro section, I also just have these layered vocals that I used varispeed to record, which I'll show you in a minute, but and when I was finishing this part, I didn't have those. I just had this. And it just sounded like it was missing something, so I just kind of added these like as a last minute resort. And there's 4 of them because I recorded 2 of each one and I pan them out. How I recorded these with varispeed was basically I just took this thing up here, and also just if you don't know how to use varispeed, let me show you, because it's actually a really good tool you can use for pretty much anything. You just come up here, click on this drop down, and click on customize control bar and display, and find where varispeed is and check that mofo, and then go over to varispeed, and you can change it to speed and pitch. So basically what happens is you can speed it up or you can slow it down, and what I did was I sped it up. The advantage that comes with that is basically you can record everything at this tempo, and then when you slow it back down, it sounds really sick. You can also just adjust the format of any like sound by using like a vocal transformer, which is just a stock plugin, and you go over to the format and you can change it like that, and it sounds cooler. But I feel like there's a lot of artifacts that you can get by doing it through the stock Logic plugin, so a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll just use varispeed and slow it down like that. So that's how I use varispeed, and that's pretty much all the instrumental, so I think we can go ahead and move on now to the vocals of the song, and we'll go ahead and start in the intro. Here's the lead for the intro.
Come down, not so pretty when you're up there. Take it slow, cause I notice that you don't care. Pity.
So pretty stupid on its own, but when you add in the octave vocals that I have behind it.
Come down, not so pretty when you're up there. Take it slow, cause I notice that you
It makes it so much cooler. You can add so much depth to a certain melody just by adding an octave on top of it. Something I like to do a lot of the time too is have just minimal pitch correction on the lead vocal.
Come down, not so pretty.
Like 78.3 milliseconds is pretty short, even for my standards, but
when you're up there.
it's not hard
slow, 'cause I
auto-tune,
know-
which is what I do with the octave vocals to make them kind of have like a more textury effect. So as you can see here, instead of 78 milliseconds like I had for the lead vocal, I have 0 milliseconds on the octave vocals, just to add a little bit more texture.
Come down, not so pretty when you're up there.
And a lot of people don't like auto-tune, but I feel like you can get a lot of different stylistic sounds with it, which is why I use it. I don't use it because I can't sing well. I use it because it's cool. It's cool. It's groovy, dude. And pretty much what I get the most questions about regarding this song is these vocals right here.
Sit down, sit down.
Funny story, I originally recorded these vocals like sit down, sit down, and then I was like, that sounds stupid as hell, why would I do that? So what I have ended up doing is I just recorded just me going sit down, and I repeated that a million times, and also I recorded this version of it, which was sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah. And I just chopped it up a bunch to get how I wanted it. Moving on to the verse vocal.
Cross-faded, can't take it.
Pretty simple processing. I just have a noise gate on the top, and then I have some EQs, more EQs, compressor. I use 3 compressors in a row because it sounds better. Don't at me. Pitch correction, de-esser to take out some of the high end on the some overdrive to add that little edge to it, but not too much, just 1.5 dBs of it, and then a little teensy sprinkle of reverb on it because I didn't want this vocal to be too like big right here, because this is a relatively tight part of the song, so I didn't want it to be kind of like boom kind of sound. So I just have 7% wet on it. You can hear the difference.
I'd probably hit you rough if I was basic. I'd probably hit you rough if I was basic.
Now, you can argue it'd probably sound better without the reverb, but because I don't record in like a necessarily soundproofed room, as you can see around me, there's not much in the way of soundproofing other than like the furniture that I have in there. So that's why I have reverb right there, pretty much.
I'd probably hit you rough if I was basic.
Just to kind of match the room, if that makes sense. And then below that, I have my signature reverse reverb.
I'd probably hit you rough.
And if you want to figure out how I did this reverse reverb technique, go look it up on YouTube. I'm not your dad. But if you do want to figure out how I did that reverse reverb technique, just click the link like right there, wherever the link is, and go watch the production breakdown for that song, how it works, because I explain over there exactly how to do the reverse reverb technique and how to make it fit in perfectly with your lead vocal. So that's all. Back to the video. Other than that, we have this octave vocal below everything. And I basically just did that by duplicating this part of the vocal and then pulling it down here and then putting a pitch shifter on it and then taking out some of the high end so it doesn't conflict with the vocal as much. And you get this sound.
I'd probably get you up if I was basic.
And I use that to emphasize certain lines. So yeah. Other than that, I think all that's left for the verse is the ad-libs, which is just...
I'd probably get you up if I was basic. Basic. Fuck the world, see you naked.
Going into the pre-chorus section, we have just the regular vocals, but with a little bit more reverb spiced on the
You're
top.
always a party girl. Fuck what they say. You
Just some more
don't know
decay
well,
and just a tiny bit more
right?
wetness on
You drink
it. Nice! So these are the background vocals for the pre-chorus.
party girl.
So another interesting choice I made in the second verse right here, I put in the sit down, boom, but I put it an octave down over here, and I took out a bunch of the high end, so you can just barely hear it in the background here. So
I know better. I swear I don't let her get to you.
it's just right. It's just in your right ear. If you look at the panning, it's pretty much hard panned all the way over to the right ear. But this is it. Super cool, right? Super cool.
Yeah.
Second verse is pretty much the exact same thing as the first verse, just with more ad-lib, spicy stuff.
Bible quote in a bio.
And then here's how I got the infamous line, Bible quote in her bio.
Bible quote in a bio. Tell my friend she a psycho. No, sir, that wasn't a typo. A sexual fantasy cut.
And then we go to the pre-chorus again, and everything repeats itself until the very end, where there's this vocal.
I think I'm addicted, don't know the rules. I thought I'd find peace, but I always
Like I said earlier, I did on varispeed. So that's pretty much the entire song. If you guys learned something in this video, let me know in the comments down below, and I will definitely be making more of these in the future, so stay tuned, please. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, subscribe, like, and then comment again. Thanks. So while the video is closing, I just want to show you guys my whole setup. I have a Mac right there. I have my sitting thing. I have a drum set back there that I never use, and then that's the microphone I use to record. Little lighting thingy, piano, and then there's my guitar, and then a fake guitar. So, anyways, that's the video.